Hi guys, welcome to the next in the series. I know so many of you asked about this, when I would have Heather back on my channel, when we would be completing this project. So as you know, Heather is an astrologer who does all kinds of amazing transit forecasts and actually fortnightly forecasts, which I personally never miss. And also, as you know, has a cosmic community that you should totally join. You'll get so much out of it. Heather, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for agreeing to continue with the project. And let's get into the Sun card. Can you let everyone please know where they can find you and how they can get in touch?
You guys can find me over at astrologywithheather.com or over on my YouTube channel, which is also called Astrology with Heather. And thank you guys so much for being here and for watching us together again. I'm super excited to talk about the Sun card. That one's going to be pretty straightforward, it sounds like, but
Yeah.
still very interesting.
Absolutely. You guys, I will put the links for you to reach out to the cosmic community and stuff for Heather in the link in the description box below. Remember, you are not going to be able to see all of these unless you subscribe to both of our channels. So make sure you head over to Heather's channel, hit the subscribe button. So today we are here to talk about the Sun card. It really is self-explanatory. It doesn't, the Sun card is one of those cards everybody knows universally. When they see it, everybody's face lights up. They always smile because it's like, yeah, you know what else do I need to say? It's fun, it's joyous, it's optimistic. And at this point, when you think about the tarot and the major arcana as a journey, by the time we get to the Sun, we've run a little bit of a gauntlet, right? Like you've got some pretty gnarly cards in between the Wheel of Fortune, let's say, and the World card. There are some gnarly ones, and obviously each card representing a bigger life experience. We've had at this point, when we reach the Sun, some pretty heavy experiences. So when we see this, it's not just, yeah, it's the Sun, it's that moment of finally I can enjoy the experience that I'm having, but also I can make sense of the experiences that I've had that maybe weren't as joyous or as happy and fun as they could have been. So the meanings for this card: joy, optimism, hope. It also represents travel. The Sun card really speaks to travel a hell of a lot. And I guess you could sort of typify that from the little young dude on the back of a horse traveling somewhere. And when you see so you've got the banner that he's waving, it's like a deep red color. That is about the active principle of the Sun, of the life-giving energies. It's active, it's passionate, it's forceful, it's moving. The Sun card also represents children. And one of the challenges with the Sun card, because I kind of feel it's almost like a little bit like Jupiter. When you see the Sun, it's really easy to be like, oh yeah, that's it, everything's fine, everything's good, and you kind of maybe gloss over the fact that, okay, maybe this is just lightening the heavier experiences that you're having. So one way that I tend to your blessings, and it will diminish your challenges. So it acts as a buffer or a protection at times. It absolutely does. I've seen the Sun card offer protection. I've seen it represent like literally those moments where something is illuminated, or the sun comes through. The Sun doesn't have a sign. Now, when I say that, a lot of people are like, well, what about Leo? Because Leo is ruled by the Sun, so you can absolutely say that. But as a hard and fast rule, the Sun, literally, just like in astrology, is the Sun, and that's kind of it. Even in those systems where you read sort of reversals, I don't personally, just because I believe that when tarot's got a message, it'll get it across to you. You don't need to reverse cards and have a whole bunch of other meanings as well. Like, it's always very clear. But if you were to reverse this, the message is sometimes that maybe you don't have access to that joy and that optimism, but it's still acting as a protector. And when you think about the Sun, it offers its blessings to everybody. Those that maybe we dislike or we think are you know, dot, 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 bleep, 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 whatever they might be. The sun shines on everything and everybody equally. And so this card can speak to like those really generous kind of energies or benefic energies that come through. It's a life enhancing energy as well. Heather, talk to us about the sun in astrology.
Oh, geez. Well, I kind of liked something that you said sort of back at the beginning where you talked about how the sun card is kind of, it shows that you're starting to understand something that you otherwise weren't able to understand previously. And when you look at the sun as a transit in the birth chart, when the sun is transiting your birth chart, what it actually does is it illuminates or shines a light on something that is a natal potential or that is embedded in your birth chart that you otherwise wouldn't have had access to or wouldn't have been activated in that way. And so it basically just illuminates things in your chart as it's going through your birth chart as it goes to the zodiac each year. So that's a little tip for you guys that are trying to learn transits there. It doesn't necessarily do anything besides that. It's just lighting up a part of your chart so you can see it better, you can understand it better. It's very literally just shining light. And the sun, even though it is connected to Leo, you know, it's not always like a straight up Leo energy. The sun isn't just joy, but it's your sense of purpose and fulfillment in life. It's how you get that, right? It's what lights you up and keeps you satisfied and feeling successful and feeling motivated. You need that solar energy to not feel depressed. Like you'll see a lot of people who have very literally like clinical depression that'll have afflictions to their sun because it's afflicting their light, it's afflicting their vitality, and it's afflicting their ability to connect with a sense of greater purpose. And so that is a big energy in the birth chart for a lot of different reasons. I mean, you need that. And also, it's very connected to your sense of identity. Like, yeah, the ascendant, that's you, but the sun is more the core of who you are as opposed to like what you're portraying and doing out in the world, if that makes sense. Like, you're using that energy out in the world, but it's more your essence. And yeah, so there's a lot that what you about what you said that's connected to the sun astrologically. The part that's different that I would say is the part that is connected so much to travel. I haven't seen that or heard that so much astrologically unless you have the sun connected to something that's associated with travel, like it's in Sagittarius, or you know, it's doing something in your ninth house or your third house, or you know, something along those lines.
I love that. Yeah, it makes total sense. I really like what you said about the purpose and fulfillment. And because I think, like, obviously, with the advent of, you know, the sun sign astrology and stuff, the sun's kind of just, it's almost like taking a bit of a back seat, right?
Mhm.
And when you describe it like that, like your fulfillment and your purpose, it kind of elevates it back to something really awesome again. And, you know, that's how I understand it. It's really interesting. You mentioned about the soul and your essence. That's why the child is naked. And it's also why the horse is
Oh.
white. Because obviously white represents purity, and the whole idea that the child is, you know, fully declothed or fully derobed, it's like the child or the essence of you can be typified like a child, right? It's the purest essence of who you are. And because it's presenting to the world in that way, it's like, this is all of who I am. None of it is hidden. You know, it's like that pure essence and potential of you is on display. And like I said earlier, with the banner of being red, it really is that active principle of moving out into the world. So it is a very active energy in terms of the tarot. The only thing really that I would say besides the sun and Leo that speaks to the Leonine energy is the sunflowers in the
Mm.
background. That can kind of be the crossover point. But even then, sunflowers represent like the highest or the higher ideals of things. Like in their spiritual wisdom, it's really about reaching that top spot. So it's really interesting, like you mentioned about your purpose and stuff. I really like that. With like, so obviously there's certain places the sun will do better,
Mhm.
but does it have like a space that it prefers to do things in, or are there certain things that it does better elsewhere?
I mean, yeah, the sun, obviously it's at home in certain signs, it's an exaltation in certain signs. So like the sun loves to be in all the fire signs, really. It tends to do quite well. But Leo is its home sign. So that's where it's going to have the support it needs to really just share who it is and what it's all about, very like unapologetically. And what I love about that, and also Aries is where it's exalted. It's like where you have the ability to charge forward and to basically take that essence, that sort of purity that we were talking about, like this is part of who I am, this is my soul, I came here to express this, and to use that to achieve or accomplish something, but not to do so in like a nasty way, like a martial way where you're just like pushing forward and you're fighting your way through and you're like stepping on people's toes. It's more
Yeah,
like it is like an innocence, which is why I like that baby, like the crazy naked baby on the horse. That's such a silly image. um
it really is.
but I feel like he's like charging forward, like to accomplish a goal. He's like on a mission. He's about to be doing something, but he's like super excited and happy about it. He's not doing it in some sort of malicious way. He's not like all stern about it. And that's very much like the sun in its exaltation in Aries, or even in the sign of Leo. It's like, this is what I came here to do. I'm doing it authentically. I'm not here to push you around. I'm just here to do this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny when you're talking because I've got a lot of Aries in my family and they're all very much like that. It's like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter whatever else is in front of them. It's just no, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
no,
it's
that's
not
really
like a
cool.
malicious thing. Like I'm doing this, like, get out of my way. But it's like, no, I'm just doing this.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. Leading you into mischief most of the time. Yeah, I love that. So, what I wanted to ask as well, because in the Sun card itself can literally be when it falls next to certain cards. In fact, when it falls next to all cards, it really is highlighting something. It's bringing an illumination to reveal something or even to share something. That active principle and the fact that it is a baby and the fact that the horse is white, and then you've got like the active principle. So we've seen these two elements before in the magician, which is literally about driving something forward or pushing something out into the world. I wonder then, because this can, I mean, I've seen it represent new projects, but more represent children, and they tend to be like younger children rather than sort of teenagers and stuff. Is that a solar thing, or is that more Jupiterian?
Um, it's kind of, I mean, it's kind of a Leo thing. Yeah, I mean, Jupiter traditionally is associated with children. And so that would be a Jupiter thing if you're looking more toward like traditional and Hellenistic astrology and like those general significations. But Leo, by and large, is very much tied to children. The fifth house in astrology, which the sun does quite well in, and Jupiter does quite well in, are both tied to children. So there are links to it, but it's not like a sun thing. Like you wouldn't look to somebody's sun to look to whether or not they're going to have children or their relationship with children, unless there were like other reasons to be doing that.
Yeah, wow. Okay. The sun also speaks to, so what I'd put here is the soul and awakening, and very often protection. And when you think about like the really old themes of the sun, that's what drove away the darkness, is what drove away the cold. So there is like, whenever we see this card, I wonder if it's a part of like the monkey or the lizard brain that's like, sun, okay, good things are happening or good things are coming. But also it has the ability to, like I say, enhance the blessings that will show up for you, and sort of relinquish the hold that the challenges or the issues have in your life. So I love this card. I think that's probably everything. I will say the Sun card is also one of the few cards that can give you a yes/no answer.
Mm.
So whatever the question is, and this is something that I've said to my students, I used to ask them hard questions and say like, well, if somebody asks, I don't know, is my cat going to run away tomorrow? And you pull the Sun card always represents a yes.
So even if it's a
So,
bad thing, it represents a
right,
yes.
even if the question is not necessarily like, even if the yes is not the answer that you would want, it's still a yes card. Do you know what I
Interesting.
mean? So like there are certain cards in the Major Arcana where if you need a hard yes or no answer, The Sun card is always a yes. It's a unanimous yes. So, you know, if it's one of those questions of should I proceed? Yeah, absolutely.
So which card would be like a no?
Death.
Mm.
I have, so the death
So you could
card
just
is
take the Sun and Death and be like, yes or no,
yeah,
and then just pick one. Like heads or
that's a
tails.
brilliant idea. I love it. Yeah, it's brilliant. Absolutely, you really could. And if you, I mean, there are others. So the Hanged Man is a definite no. The Star card is a definite yes. There are certain ones that you could look at. I mean, the Tower, I think that one speaks for itself, right? Hard no, hard pass. But yeah, it's something to play around with. You can do this with minors as well. It's not as accurate, I've found. And I know, like, when in certain parts of my consultations, when people will ask me certain questions, I usually always pull 3 cards to answer the question and then a clarifying card on top of that. If the first card out is the death card, I don't continue. I just tell them straight up, it's a no, and that's it.
Interesting. Well, that's handy.
Yeah. There you go. Now you know. All right. Anything else that you can tell us about the sun in astrology that we might need to know?
I mean, I feel like we covered a lot of ground with that. Yeah. I mean, it represents the consciousness, it represents the soul, the way that it expresses itself, your ambitions and goals that are more like pure and authentic. And I mean, just like the sun too, like you can think about that energy of the sun in people who get like seasonal affective disorder. Like if you're not connected to the sunlight, if you're not getting your vitamin D through your skin and through like your largest organ of the body, then you're going to be prone to having, a sour mood. You're going to be prone to melancholy, and you could be prone to actually having depression. And it's the same thing with that sun energy in the birth chart. If you're not connected to your sun, if you're not connected to who you are on that level, it's not just like this sun sign, horoscope nonsense. Like it's a very important player in the chart. The sun, moon, and rising are the big 3 for a reason. And you need that sun energy. And so it's just like, all life needs the sun to survive and to thrive and to exist. And we all need that energy, in the birth chart. And so understanding your sun and your placement fully, like all the different aspects to it, where it's at in the chart, what sign it's in, what house it's in, and, above and beyond all of that, that's going to be crucial to living not just a successful life, but a healthy life and a happy life. So that's what the sun represents in astrology.
That's awesome. There's such a brilliant description as well. Guys, I have personally taken Heather's astrology course. So if you're not taking it, if you're not enrolled, you really should. I have to tell you again, I know I've told this before, but I have to tell you again, I really love the way that you fused the modern take of astrology and the ancient astrology. It's like that for me is like that's what you need, right? You need the stuff, the basis of where it all comes from and how it fits together, but you need the nuances. And I really love the way that and it was seamlessly, like the way that you blended the two together. It's excellent. Guys, if you haven't taken it, you need to get on it. All right. Heather, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for doing the project. I look forward to seeing you for the judgment card.
Yeah.
Guys, you can find Heather's links for her channel, etc., in the link in the description box below. Like I said, remember, you're not going to get all of these unless you subscribe to both of our channels. Take care. We'll see you soon.